Hey guys, so a while back when my channel hit 1,000 subscribers, I went and did a special where I did a little Q&A video, and I did promise that when I hit 2,000 subscribers I would do another one. Well, I hit it a little while ago, a few months back. I was crazy busy and didn't have a whole lot of time to just sit down and record a video, and I'm just gonna buckle down and do it now. I've had fairly small amount of preparation, but I've kind of gone back through the SweetBanana Q&A channel in the Discord server and kind of skimmed real quick just to get mentally prepared for some of the questions to answer. And basically what I'm gonna do is just, it's been a while because it's been like a year's worth of questions almost by now. Actually, yeah, more than a year's worth, I think, from the earliest one after my 1,000 subscriber special up until present day. So I'm gonna try to go through them, and I think I'll try to get to all of them if I can, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. So we're gonna go down the line, and the first one, I think this is the first one, I don't think I answered it on the previous video, was from Nitro Ralts, and it is, what is your favorite shiny? And for me, I mean, I'm a fan of grass types, and I'm kind of a fan of those shinies that have that teal color. So the three good examples of that are Superior, Decidueye, and Sceptile. And of those three, I'd have to give the edge to Superior, but I like all three of them. They kind of have that same color scheme on their shinies, but I'd say Superior is my favorite of those. Crazy asks what my favorite generation is, and I feel like I might have answered this in the past, and it's a little bit of a cop-out, but I'd kind of put Generation 1 and 2 combined as my favorite, because, I mean, I have to, you know, nostalgia plays a pretty big role for me, but I would say that I like how the Generation 2 games in Gold and Silver kind of closed the book on Generation 1, like, it kind of went together. And also the fact that a lot of the Pokemon in Generation 2 were originally conceived in Generation 1, so it's kind of like why I feel like the two generations just go so well together. If I had to pick between the two of them, I'd say design-wise, I'd go more for Generation 2. Now, if we're talking about competitive Pokemon, the first two generations don't offer as much in the competitive scene. Well, first generation has its share because certain Pokemon got buffed with Mega Evolutions. Generation 2 is a little bit of a different story. So as for competitive generation, I'm not sure, because Generations 3 through 5 kind of have some strong ones. In fact, one time when we did theme battles, we did teams from different regions, and I had a Unova team that was really pretty good. Like, it was solid, like, versus when I tried to make a Johto team, which kind of struggled. So, but the question is not the best competitive generation. It would be my favorite, and it's either Generation 1 or Generation 2. Like I said, a slight edge to Generation 2 because of the designs, and I guess also because of all the hype I had when I knew that, when I first found out that a second generation of Pokemon was coming out, and now here we are, 5 more generations after that. So, next question comes from Bear, which is, what is your favorite color? And that's the easy one, it's blue. Not even a particular shade of blue, although I did mention in talking about my favorite shiny that I kind of like that teal color, like that blue-green color. But just blue. Blue's my favorite color. It pretty much has been since the day I was born, or since the time when I was old enough to conceive of the concept of having a favorite color. My favorite color has always been blue. And next, we have Mimi ask, what's your signature move, i.e. a move you use tons when you battle? And that's a hard one, I was kind of thinking about it. The best thing I can kind of do is look at what I use in the PGBL a lot. And given my use of Slowbro and Clefable, I'd say probably my signature move then would have to be Calm Mind, because it's like a cornerstone of my strategies with Slowbro and Clefable. Clefable can kind of swap out Calm Mind and Cosmic Power, but I also really like it too. So I'd probably say that, although another thing that I used a lot in this second generation, or second season of PGBL, is that devastating Drake on Naganadel with Draco Meteor. So for season 2, my signature move might have been that. I'm not sure. There were a couple of things that I relied on a lot, as a matter of fact, in season 2 PGBL, but I'd say Calm Mind, since I used it across strategies for multiple of my Pokemon. I'll just go with Calm Mind. So now here we get to the point in the channel where there's like a little lapse and there were a little conversation going on. So let me see. Hopefully I won't miss any questions on the way down, but I'm gonna try and slide down. We've gotten into a whole little talk about competitive Pokemon there for a little bit. I didn't really clean out this channel. It's weird. Here we are. Oh, yeah, Nitra asks again, what is your favorite question of the day thus far? You know, I can't quite remember. I can't remember all of them. I've asked so many. I'm trying to think. There's probably a good one in one of the Soul Links, and I just can't think of it right now. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, I hate to say it, but I don't know if I have an answer to that. If you guys have a favorite question of the day so far, don't forget to leave it in the comments. What was a good one? I don't know. There were some good ones where we asked people what their favorites of things were. I think I asked ones about like if you could be a Pokemon for a day, but I kind of like the ones where there can be some interaction and people can like share information, not share information, but you know, share about themselves. Like you get an idea of what kind of personalities people have and people's different tastes and all of that. I got a bot in our channel asks, what is Okita your favorite bot, and also asks, can I be in Miitopia? So that gives you an idea for how long ago that was, and no bot, you can't, because I finished playing the game. Nitra asks for everyone, can I have your face? Question for everyone. And that, of course, is again a reference to when we were playing Miitopia. We had the Dark Lord Nitra, who was stealing everybody's face. Go ahead and check that out on the archives. It should be in a playlist there if you haven't seen the playthrough of Miitopia. It did get a little old when we were trying to reach the end of the story, but man, for a good first half of the game, it was a fun time. Let's see. Now let's get back to some real questions. There was another question, what's your favorite color? I just answered that. Here's another one from Bear. Do you eat pancakes daily? No, I don't. That's it. Ramsey's asked, how did you get into competitive Pokemon? I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in the first Q&A, but I'll mention it again here. The main way I got interested was during the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire era of competitive battle. I started, it was also right around the time I started, or shortly after I started my own YouTube channel. But I was watching a lot of Shady Penguin, and when he was still doing competitive battles, and Nips, now called Mr. Talent, but when he was called Nips, and I would watch their competitive battles, and a couple others, but it was mostly those two. And they were in, it was either the UCL or the GBA, I think it was the UCL that I watched, their draft league. And I started watching them, and I started enjoying hearing how, like, the thought processes they went into and the preparation. And so I would start, late ORAS, I would start putting together some teams on Showdown, just not having any idea what I'm doing, just kind of trying, and not like I said, not knowing what I'm doing. But I never wanted to try it in game because I always thought, oh, that's a little bit out of my reach. I don't really know how it works, and it's too hard, so I'll never learn. Then when Sun and Moon were coming out, and I had my YouTube channel, I was thinking about it, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna figure out how this works. And I learned, I also learned about how EV training would get a lot easier with SOS battles, and being able to have an IV checking tool, which made things a lot easier. And I went in and studied more in depth how IV breeding works and all of that. And I decided starting in Gen 7, I'm gonna kind of know what I'm doing with competitive Pokemon. And so I did, and then I got the How to Competitive series out of it, which to this day, the original Sun and Moon series of it has been my most successful YouTube series ever, that I just wish I could replicate again, but I think timing was everything with that one. But I still, every once in a while, get someone who comments on one of those videos saying, "Thank you so much, you explained it so well." So it makes me happy. So that's my favorite accomplishment, I guess, for this channel. My most rewarding series for this channel. So, but yeah, that's reiterating how I got into competitive Pokemon. Datalore5571 asks, if you had a Mew and could teach it any 4 TMs, which ones would you choose? That is a good one. Because it depends on whether we're thinking like competitive or just if I had a Mew. And I have to think if they're, I guess I have to think Gen 7 TMs. So, you know what, let's just go for, let's just pretend I'm a kid again playing the game, just playing through the game. I'd teach it like Thunderbolt, let's see, Thunderbolt, Earthquake, Psychic, cause stab, and then I was gonna say Metronome, but no, that would be a Gen 1 TM. Let's see, so let's go Thunderbolt, what was it, what did I say? Thunderbolt, Earthquake, Psychic, and I don't know. Thunderbolt, Earthquake, Psychic, and I'm just trying to think like Fire Blast or Ice Beam. I guess Fire Blast for more coverage, I don't know. A purely offensive Mew, and yes, I have a special attack and I have 1 physical attack among all the special attacks there. I don't know, just off the top of my head, not knowing all the TMs off the top of my head. But yeah, so next question. Eyebrows asks, is the pool closed? And I feel like that might be a reference, but no, the pool's not closed as far as I'm concerned. Anyway. Alright, next we have a question from Title Tyrant, which is, if you had to choose one class out of all these, what would it be? And then he gives a list. Saber, Archer, Lancer, Rider, Assassin, Berserker, or Caster. I guess Caster, which I'm assuming would be like Mage. I like, not necessarily that I play well as them, but I like classes that use magic. Because if I were in real life, I would like to be able to use magic. So that's why. I would be something that uses magic. Because magic is cool. Nitra asks, what is your AJ meme? And that's a good question. I think probably, of all the AJ memes, I have to think of, let me look through the emotes here. Probably, I don't know. It depends on the context. I guess in general it's probably the one, the emote that's like, what even? Where he's just like, that's me. That was me on an early recording I did today. That was me. So I'll say that one, the what even one. Let's see. Next question is again from Nitra. How far do you expect your YouTube channel to go? Did you think you'd make it to 2,000? Well, I gotta do this in parts because at first, when I first started the channel, I wasn't sure how far I'd make it. I had no idea. Like, it was a big deal to even make it to 100 subscribers. But then when I had the giant, basically surge where I went from a little more than 400 subscribers to like 1,500 subscribers in the course of a couple of months, I thought, oh gee, anything's possible. I guess I could keep growing. Like, I wanted to get to like 5,000 was what I was hoping I could get to. And of course things slowed down, the channel slowed down. There have been issues with YouTube in general, aside from the problems I've had keeping my channel going, which has to do with personal things and just the timing of things. Again, like my How To Competitive kind of made me take off pretty well, especially with all the Sun and Moon hype, and I haven't been able to replicate that. And I've also had my own issues not having a free time, not knowing what direction to go, and also starting to have more fun streaming, quite honestly. But I would like, in the lifetime of my YouTube channel, even if it takes like 4 more years, 5 more years, however much longer it would take, I would like to get to 5,000 as a milestone. Because I don't really think my channel will ever be a big channel, at least not right now, not if I don't get inspired with a more coherent direction and do something a little bit more unique with my channel. I kind of wanted to do that with the Language of Gaming series that I did a couple of videos of. I really like that series, but it's just one of those things where right now in my life I don't have time for it. So if I could get back to that, then I'd like to see my channel grow some more. But you know what? I'm gonna take the accomplishment that I've gotten so far. To get past 2,000 is pretty cool, and I'd like to see if I could get to 5,000. That just take it one step at a time. In fact, I'll let 2,500 be my next milestone. I'll probably do some other kind of video that's not a Q&A, since that's pretty close to this one. But yeah, it's hard for me to the position I'm in right now with my YouTube channel, because it's been hard to decide whether I want to even be able to keep it going, whether I can keep it going. Right now we've been in a little bit of a drought of normal videos and just had my stream archives, but I'm doing the long game with it. Even if I have to dial back for a little bit and then get right back to it, I'm gonna see how far we can go. But anyway, I'd like to hit 5,000 at least. That would make me feel pretty good. And I can see people typing in this chat as I'm recording this, so that's kind of cool. But we still have a little ways to go before we get to the bottom. So let's see. Frenzy has an interesting question, which is, do you get a lot of harassment being a female YouTuber, or do you dodge it being a smaller channel? And then also, aside from Pokemon, do you have any other hobbies? I'll get to that one in a second. I have not experienced much. I mean, I've experienced the occasional whatever, you know, I guess you could call it objectifying comment here or there, but you know, people like that are usually just trolls, so it's not like it bothers me in the slightest. It means someone had to take time out of their day to try to troll me, so hey, you know, you're living rent-free in their heads. Anyway, but I haven't really, I can't say I've had much at all. It's been like 2 or 3 comments, maybe a little more than that on streams, but it's been like 2 or 3 comments, so I can't really say. So again, being a smaller channel is probably part of it. The most trolling comments that I've gotten, as a matter of fact, and it has nothing to do with being a female, is just the biggest, like, one of, if not still the biggest video on my channel, this random Mario Maker video that I made, where I made a level where you can't jump, and the video, the level got taken down years ago, so somehow people are still finding this, and most of the trolling comments are about how I took too long to describe the level before I actually went in and played it, and go figure. So, but anyway, for the most part, it's probably because I'm a small channel, but you know, I've gotten a couple of troll comments here and there. It doesn't really bother me. If anything, it's just like, huh, oh look, trolls are giving me attention. I don't know. Anyway, aside from Pokemon, do you have any other hobbies? Well, I've mentioned before that I do artistic roller skating, and I compete at the world level. I also coach the same sport. I have a little, in the club where I grew up, I have a couple of students, a few of them that take private lessons, and a couple that do competition, and a few more that try to get into competition. So that's, I mean, it's also a job. I do make some income from it, but that's, you know, basically the other main part of my life. And then right now I'm currently taking classes for an associate's/certificate program, so that I can, I got my BA at Fourier University already, but this certificate and AS should give me the marketable part of marketable skills that I need. I'm going for programming, and web programming in particular, but the degree program is programming in general. So that basically covers the rest of my life when I'm not doing this, all those things that I mentioned. Anyway, thank you, Frenzy, for your questions. And now, Nitra has quite a few questions here. And he's got one that I actually had to write down my answers for. So, what's your favorite Pokemon of each type? So this has been, like I said, I just kind of perused these questions without thinking too hard on the answers, but I did want to write down my answer for this one so I could keep track of all of them. And it was difficult to narrow down in most cases. So in some of these, I had 2- and 3-way ties. But in order to avoid that, I don't have the time to really think about it hard enough to make a definite hard choice for some of these ties. So what I want to do is, I'll for ones that have a tie, I'll say the one Pokemon that I'll say won the tie, and then I'll give honorable mention to the other 1 or 2 in that type. And also, just for consistency, I'm basing this off of primary typing, and I double-checked the typings according to what Bulbapedia lists as the primary typings for those Pokemon. So, let's go down the list. In no particular order, this was just the order, again, that the types were on Bulbapedia. It's not alphabetical or anything. So, for normal type, I went with Meowth with a honorable mention to Silvally, which Silvally would be kind of a cop-out because it could be any type. But hey, I really like Silvally. But Meowth is, I'll give Meowth the #1 spot in that one because I've always loved Meowth from before I even really liked cats that much. I always liked Meowth. Anyway, fire types, we got a new one here, Litten, mostly because it reminds me of Sarge. I don't know why Litten does. He doesn't particularly look like Sarge, but something about Litten's face. I just like Litten a lot. And what would it have been before Litten? I'm not sure. Charizard kind of has a soft spot. Vulpix, maybe? I don't know, but Litten is definitely, right now, my favorite. For fighting type, it's Lucario, and mainly because, aside from maybe Hitmontop, Lucario was the first fighting type that I really liked enough to say I want to use that on my team. Just always before that, I never found fighting types useful enough for my team in the game, and Lucario was the first one where it was the first fighting type I really wanted to use. Maybe because it was blue, maybe because it was also part steel type, which I thought was awesome, maybe because it had Aura Sphere, which is one of my favorite attacks ever, but Lucario wins that one. For water type, I have to go with Slowbro, which just a couple years ago would not have been even close to the case, but Paul has been through so much with me that I can't not put Slowbro as my #1 water type. For flying type, I went with Noivern. There aren't a lot of primary flying types, and there are a lot of dragon types that I would have liked to put as #1, so I'm getting Noivern in as my flying type to take care of that. Grass type is no question, pretty obvious, Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is my favorite Pokemon at all, like, of all time anyway, so Bulbasaur it is. For poison type, we have a newcomer again, Naganadel. Mostly because I realized in PGBL how good he can be, although I kind of proved that he's not single-handedly broken if he doesn't have a good enough supporting team necessarily, or a good enough supporting strategy. But once I got to use him, then I started thinking about other things I liked about Naganadel, like its design is pretty cool. He's just like this bee, dragon, poison thing, I don't know. And I like his little face. He has like a glowy eyes and it looks like he's wearing a visor. So I don't know, Naganadel, and I get another dragon on the list doing it this way, so Naganadel it is. For electric, I just went with Raikou. He's a cool tiger, I like him. He's got a cloud on his back. For ground, I have Donphan, because it's an elephant Pokemon, and I guess I have a soft spot for when I was really, really little, I liked elephants. More than I do now, actually. But Donphan I'm like, cool, it's an elephant Pokemon, and it's also a wheel. So, yeah. With honorable mention to Flygon, because it's another dragon. And I always liked Flygon more than Garchomp, even though Flygon never got as much love in the stats or move pool department. Anyway, favorite psychic type, this was a hard one to narrow down, but I've got to go with Mew, giving honorable mentions to Lugia and Celebi. Between the three of them, aside from Bulbasaur, they made up my favorite Pokemon through the end of Generation 2. I mean, I guess Meowth was there too. But anyway, Mew, with honorable mention to Lugia and Celebi. For rock type, a type that I generally did, like, another type that I don't use that much, but I go with Lycanroc. Either midday or dusk form, although I have to say from PGBL I'm getting pretty partial to dusk form. It's the best one competitively, in my opinion. But Lycanroc, actually, Lycanroc is my honorable mention, in addition to Amora. But the one that really wins the tie is Tyranitar, because I think it was the first rock type that I'm like, I gotta use this, kind of like with Lucario. Tyranitar is awesome, it's Godzilla, it's rock and dark type, it looks awesome. But yeah, honorable mentions to Lycanroc and to Amora. I feel so sorry for Amora because its typing is so poor defensively, but it is one of my favorite Pokemon designs of all time. But anyway, sorry I kind of said those out of order. Tyranitar, I give the nod to Tyranitar for favorite rock type. Lycanroc and Amora, honorable mentions. Favorite ice type, I give it to Glaceon with honorable mention to Alola Ninetales. Favorite bug type, this was another really tough one, but I have to give it to Galvantula with a honorable mention to Volcarona. Gen 5 was the first generation to really make bug types feel super threatening. And I know Scyther, Pinsir, Scizor, and Heracross were there in the first two generations, but even then, it felt... nothing compares to when even Galvantula took a while for me to realize, but Volcarona I pretty much thought was a legendary. I think a lot of us did because there was a static encounter of it at level 70 in Black and White. But I do have to give the slight nod to Galvantula just because of how I kind of like that it's bug electric, and it's a pretty useful Pokemon. It's one of the better web setters that's not Smeargle, and I don't know. I like Galvantula. I've come to like it after using it in the PGBL. For Dragon type, I have to give it to Haxorus, even though I was definitely Team Goomy when X and Y came out. I love Goomy a lot. So Goomy gets honorable mention, but I have to give it to Haxorus because I still remember the first time I got a Haxorus to whatever level it was. Maybe was it when it first evolved? No, it would have had to have been a higher level than that. Just one time, I looked at a Haxorus' stats, and like everything was in the 100s, and it had over 300 attack, and I just thought, this thing is amazing. It's just a beast. And I like its design, it's just a giant axe, but I like it, like if I could tame a Haxorus so I know it would be friendly to me, I'd love to have one. Just, I gotta give it to Haxorus, even though Goomy is, and will always be, awesome and amazing. For Ghost type, this was another difficult one. I've gotta give it to Pumpkaboo, because when I first saw that there was a Jack-o'-lantern Pokemon, a legitimate Jack-o'-lantern Pokemon, I thought it was the best thing ever. I wish that Gourgeist was a little better than it is competitively, because I'd love to have a Pumpkaboo or even a Gourgeist just with me. And I like pumpkin things like during Halloween time. I'm not as crazy about pumpkin as I used to be, but I will go and get the obligatory pumpkin spice flavored things, at least to some extent, during the fall and in the winter. But honorable mentions were Mimikyu, which was really close to taking it from Pumpkaboo, because I love Mimikyu too, and I think a Ghost Fairy is amazing. And Delmise, which I, again, came to appreciate by using it competitively. Another amazing Pokemon. But yeah, I gotta go with the pumpkin. Alright, we got our last three types here. For Dark type, I love Dark types in general, but when I had to narrow it down, I've gotta go with the original Dark type that made me love Dark types, which is Umbreon. Was my favorite evolution for the longest time. It might still be, just in terms of design, even though it's one of the less useful ones. at least during an in-game team. And it's kind of, it can be good and competitive, but it's not usually the type of style that I like to use. But anyway, just on design, and I would like to have an Umbreon. It's another one of those, like, making my decision in that way. I would love to have an Umbreon, so therefore I gotta give it to Umbreon. But I have to give honorable mention to Houndoom, the other dark type that I loved in Generation 2, and to Scraggy. A Pokemon that first time around playing Generation 5, I completely pretty much ignored, and then I saw it in the anime and realized how weirdly adorable it was. I got myself a plush, and I really like Scraggy. And also, shout out to Fwad, because Scraggy and Scrafty are his, I don't know his favorite, but we chose them to represent him, so shout out to Fwad. Alright, last two typings. We have Steel type, which I have to give to Aggron. I was thinking about it, I almost gave it to Steelix, but Aggron is... I just remember being so excited to get an Aggron in Ruby and Sapphire. I always was that type that liked dinosaurs, and Aggron was kind of this Triceratops thing made of metal and rock, and I don't know, Aggron is just a really awesome looking Pokemon. So for Steel type, giving it to Aggron. And for Fairy type, I gotta give it to Clefable. Only more recently I came to appreciate Clefable, but Clefable's so good, and actually I can go back even as far back as Fire Red and Leaf Green when Clefable was still normal type. I had a Clefable in Leaf Green that had a Cosmic Power Meteor Mash combo that I just used all the time in that game, and I just have fond memories of that. And Clefable, I've had some pretty fun competitive sets with Clefable, so I've got to give it to Clefable. Maybe honorable mention would be Togekiss, because I had a lot of fun with Togekiss in Gen 4. But yeah, there's my list of favorites of each type, and that took a while for me to get through all of them, and we still have some more questions to go to. Also from Nitra, so this next one from Nitra is, what program / equipment do you use to record? So I have, right now I'm recording on OBS, which is what I used to record on my editing software, which I'll get to in a moment, but right now I pretty much handle all my recording on OBS. It's not always the best for all types of recording, but it's pretty convenient in that you can record in your setup, if that makes any sense. Before, when I recorded on my, in my editing software, I had to record each piece individually, then stick it all together in the layout, and afterwards. But I kind of like, unless I need to do something really custom where I change things, like change the layout in mid-video, if I just have a video where I need to just hit record and record the layout as is, OBS is really convenient. And as for my microphone, I like my microphone. It's a few years old now, so I'm sure there's a better model out, but this is a Blue brand Yeti microphone. I think I saw Mr. Talent talking about the newer one that's out that, you know, probably better, but I really like this one. I had it recommended to me at the time when I started YouTube, and it took me a couple years to save some money for it, but it's relatively cheap. It's in the low, like, $120 maybe, which, for a decent microphone, that's pretty good. I mean, it's a USB microphone, which I guess there are better inputs now, better quality inputs for microphone, but this is, for what I need, this is plenty. This is great, I like it. And it's really affordable. For the quality that you get, it's really affordable. Anyway, then as for my editing software, right now I use Camtasia. I think I might have had a free version of it at some point, but I got the paid version, just it makes everything a little bit easier. I used to record in it and screen capture in it, but like I said, now usually my setup's in OBS and I add any post-production editing in Camtasia. And I guess that's about it. I mean, I use Photoshop and GIMP to do my art assets. I think that pretty much covers everything. And then last question from Nitra is, besides skating, do you play any sports? I don't currently. I used to, my rink used to have like an intramural sort of roller hockey league that I did. And I used to do basketball, not for school, but just like rec league basketball, which because I used to like basketball a lot, and even though I've always been a person of below average height, so I was never a star player in basketball, but I was a decent defensive player. I could steal the ball, or at least grab it, hold on to it until the referee called jump ball. So that was kind of my thing. I did have the pleasure of being on a really good team for 2 seasons. I got to stay with the same coach, and we only lost 1 game in our first season together, and then the second season we were undefeated. And it was a good team. Like, we had some really good players, but we were so good, and the coach, I think, managed us so well that even the players who were not as good, like I wasn't as good on offense, but even players like me got the opportunity to get in and score a couple times. But he made use of all of our strengths. So he made use of me being a good defensive player and things like that. So, but yeah, that was my other sport that I used to do for a while. And then, like I mentioned, roller hockey before. But right now, I don't do anything else. I don't really watch sports either because, I don't know, I don't follow them because I'd just rather, if it's a sport, I'd rather do it than watch it. But that's, to each their own. Okay, going down the list, we have a few more questions to go here. This is going to be a longer video than I thought. Jay Pizzle asks, do you have a dream job? If you could do anything without worry of bills, what would you do? To be honest, I kind of like the coaching of skating that I'm doing right now. Mostly, I especially like the doing choreography. Now, obviously, I'm going to school for programming because coaching doesn't pay the bills all by itself. I mean, it could. The amount that a coach can make, you can basically charge whatever you can that's marketable for where you are. So like for what I charge, if I had the equivalent of a 40-hour work week, like 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, I would make pretty good money and I wouldn't need another job. But because I don't teach that much, I'm gonna have to work on getting a job to pay the bills. I'd say, other dream job, I might say doing YouTube stuff, but I don't know. It's hard to say, like, absolute dream. For a long time, my dream job was to be an animator and or voice actor, but I don't know. I find teaching skating pretty satisfying. Teaching of the technical skills I don't find as satisfying as doing the choreography, but yeah, I think I'd say that I'm pretty happy with teaching skating. If I wanted to get crazy, like favorite, like any dream job, I guess I'd say ice cream taste tester or something. I'd like to do that. But anyway, next question. Sarakahiro asks, am I pretty? You are pretty awesome, Sarakahiro. No, actually, I'm gonna use a joke that my high school physics teacher used, and he was talking about how gravity, everything with mass has a gravitational pull, and so he said to all of you in this room, you are attractive because we all have gravitational pull. So I will say, Sarakahiro, you are very attractive, and I'm attractive, and you all are attractive as well because of gravity. The joke was better when he told it. Okay, I don't recognize this name. I don't know if they used a different name before, but Admin Sorceress Lana asks, if you were really amazing at VGC, would you strive to go to the World Championships? And you know what? I might. If I were that good at it, I think there's a chance that I would, because I'm generally a competitive person by nature. I compete internationally for skating, so if I were that good, yeah, I would absolutely, I'd at least consider trying to get in there. Title Tyrant asks, if you had to arm wrestle one person from this server, who would it be? That is an interesting question. I'd be afraid to arm wrestle Title Tyrant because he'd just go all in on it. I don't know. Who would I arm wrestle? Who would I arm wrestle? That's a good question. Let's say, you know what? I'll arm wrestle Fwad, because I feel like that would be, I would feel like that would be fun. I feel like to arm wrestle Fwad, if we could do like a live stream of that, that would be fun to watch. You know, Fwad, if you're watching this, let me know if you'd like to do that. We could just like meet up somewhere and arm wrestle for charity. Arm wrestling for charity. Idea. Okay, Mimi asks what my favorite flower is, and I'm afraid to try to get too to pick something too specific because Mimi knows her stuff when it comes to plants. I'll keep it classic, and say my favorite flower is rose, because in general, I don't know, I grew up watching Beauty and the Beast. The rose was an icon. One of my favorite dances is the tango, which is commonly associated with holding a rose. And I don't know, roses are very pretty, they're elegant, I like their petals are very velvety. I don't know, I like them. They're elegant, but then they can hurt you with their thorns. So I'll you know, it sounds like a fairly bland, ordinary answer, but I do like roses, so I will say rose is my favorite flower. And Title Tyrant asks another question. Do you know the way? I do not know the way, Title Tyrant, but I think it involves Sonic Adventure 2. Maybe. I'll have to play it again and find out. Alright, Nitra has another question. What's your favorite AJ meme? Which seems related to the what AJ meme are you? What is my favorite AJ meme? You know what meme? It's not really an AJ meme, but it's a meme still related to AJ. Actually, didn't AJ ask? I'm gonna tie this together with this other question from AJ. What's your favorite Soul Link moment so far? And if I really sat down and watched Soul Link over again, I might find a different favorite moment, but just to relate it to memes from what Nitro was talking about, there was this one time where I forget what we were talking about in the Gold and Silver Soul Link, where AJ brought up the "It's time to stop" meme, and he said, "I know Banana won't put that in post," and so I decided I had to do it, and so then I did, and I don't know why. That was my favorite moment, just because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show him. But so it's not really an AJ meme. I guess one of my I'll use "I'm a Dinosaur" though as my favorite AJ meme. I like it, I have to admit. I even Sprout was wearing a T-Rex costume and I had him record a video of him saying "I'm a dinosaur" as a gift for AJ because I like that meme and I like dinosaurs. Anyway, Mimi asks, how much would you have to be offered to sell all your Pokemon games? Well, I would say at least enough for me to buy all of them back. Like, not necessarily the same cartridges, but like to buy new copies of all of them. And then still have like a couple $1 million left over or something like that. No, I mean, as far as a serious answer goes, I'm not sure. I probably could be convinced to part ways with my older ones for a more reasonable amount of money, but then again, I get really sentimental really easily, and the more I think about it, the less I want to give it away, so who knows. And on that topic, Nitro has another question. How much would you have to be offered to finish the Daredevil Bouldergeist fight? Well, there's a chance that no matter how much I'm offered, I might not be able to do it. However, you know what? We could make it interesting. How much would you be willing to offer me? Because if we could, let me do that. I would be willing to do a stream of the Daredevil Bouldergeist fight if I could get you guys, like, to continue at a rate of, like, cheering a certain amount of bits for every 30 minutes or something like that. Like, some kind of deal like that. If we could work out something like that, where I could get a consistent enough cheer rate, I would do it, even if it took me several hours. Alright, I got to AJ's question, we're going down the list. Last two is, Jay Pizzle asks, how are you so awesome? And my answer is, I don't know. It's hard work. It's harder than it looks. Anyway, then SL Dino asks, what's your favorite multiple of 3 for Mimi, of course? I'm not sure what that means. But my favorite multiple of 3 is probably... Let me think. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 42, 45, 48, 51, 54, 57, 60. I mean, I could say 9003 because it's the first one over 9,000. But no, really, it's probably 15 for no particular reason. It's also multiple of 5, I guess. And multiple of 5s are neat and orderly, so I'll say 15. Alright, well, that's gonna do it. This ended up being a little bit longer video. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long to edit. All I really want to do is overlay the questions, and maybe if I need a few visual aids for my answers, like maybe for the favorite Pokemon of each type segment, I'll add those images to that. But I want to do overlays of everybody's question. I'm sorry I couldn't do what I did last 1,000 subscriber special, which was list all of the names of all the subscribers, but I'm not sure if I can still find all those names, and I don't know if I have that much time to arrange for all of those names. So, but hopefully I get this thing out here relatively soon after I record it, sometime in the month of April, hopefully on the earlier end than the later end. But I want to thank you guys for being patient. I want to thank all of you guys who have been with this channel for any amount of time, but especially those of you who've stuck around for the long term. I really appreciate your support. I know we're a small channel, but every little bit that we grow is nice, and we've had our ups and downs, but I know I have a nice little group of you guys who are really supportive, and I really love that. As for what to expect in the future, like I said, I do want to get the channel to grow a little bit more, but I am focusing a lot more on of my energy on Twitch, because I have a really fun time streaming on Twitch. So this channel won't go away or anything by any means, but there will be a little bit more of a Twitch focus, because I just like the environment there. I get to interact with you guys one-on-one directly. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like this video. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. Get me to 2,500 and then eventually to 5,000 subscribers. Those are my next 2 short-term or long-term goals, either way. And yeah, check out the Discord server if you haven't already. The link will be in the description, and I guess I have nothing else to say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.